Hey, John here. So in this video I'm going to show you what I do when I want to get a certain lick or phrase up to speed. And this method works for anything that you want to learn really. It can be a riff as well. It doesn't have to be any super technical stuff, but it's a very good approach that will improve your timing, it will improve your speed, but also it will help you to really learn the thing that you're working on. Because one problem that I see with a lot of students and also with myself before I started realizing that this is a better way of practicing things is that you play something and then if you screw it up, you kind of have to go back to the beginning because you can't just start on any beat of the lick or phrase. So this method of practicing will help with that as well. I came up with this thing to apply it to so I just can demonstrate the technique. So that's the phrase that I'm going to use, and I'm going to show it here very quickly so you can follow along. But better yet, I want you to apply this to anything that you're practicing right now that you have trouble with. So this technique of practicing works with anything, but I think the best results will be if you apply this to something that's meaningful to you. But just in case you want to follow along here, this is the way that the phrase goes. We start here on the C note on the 5th fret of the G string. We're going to go like this. 5, 4, then we're gonna go 7, 5, 4, and then we're gonna go up the scale from here. We have the same fingerings here, so 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, then another 4, 5, 7, and then we have 3, 5, 7, and then we're gonna end up here in the C note again on the 8th fret. So from the beginning we have this, and the way that I pick it is down, pull off, and then it's all alternate pick from there. And then from here, we're gonna go with this Yngwie sequence. So 8, 5, 7, 8. And that sequence is gonna repeat on each set of 3 notes here. So move up the next set of 3, next set of 3, next set of 3. And then we end up here on the G, which is the minor third of the key. So again, slowly from the beginning. So here's how you do it. You look at whatever you're learning, and in this case we have a bunch of 16th notes, right? And you want to see each beat individually. So if we count the beats here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we stop here on the 9th beat. And the first thing we want to do is to play through the entire thing. And it can actually be helpful to have tabs available when you do this, or better yet, just memorize what you're trying to learn and then do it from memory. But if you have trouble, it can really help to write it down. So the first thing you want to do is to put the metronome at 60. That's where I generally start when it comes to 16th notes. And then you want to play one beat to the next. So we're gonna start here, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, but with 16th notes. So this last note here, the 5th note, that's the first note of the next beat. So we're gonna play the first beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then end on the first note of the next beat. And you want to be really careful with the timing here, so really focus on getting that right. So start by subdividing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I played it correctly twice. And you can do it once and then move on, but I would suggest that you move on. I'm not gonna have the metronome here, but you can just move on when you feel that you got it right. Okay, so you don't want to sit here like, you know, mindlessly. Instead, you need to focus and really listen and also feel, you know, what does it feel like when I play this? Does anything feel awkward? But you want to be able to play it where it feels good and it sounds good. So just imagine the click in the background here. It's quite annoying to have that in the video, but click, click. So I'm starting on a click and ending on a click. All right, and then I want to start on the note that I ended on. So you always want to overlap. So if you do that, we got this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And important to note here as well that the subdivision, meaning if it's 4 notes per beat, 6 notes per beat, 11 notes per beat, doesn't really matter. What matters here is that we go from beat to beat. We connect from beat to beat. So this is why this works really well with any kind of riff as well, because the rhythm doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that you start on a beat and end on a beat. So that's the important thing here. All right, so beat 2 to 3. Okay, easy enough. And then 3 to 4. 4 to 5. Then we have 5 to 6. 6 to 7. 7 to 8. And then finally we got 8 to 9. So if that worked out, then you just go back and then you raise the tempo to 65 BPMs. So I'm not gonna have the metronome going here, but I'm just gonna show you what that sounds like. So now it's slightly faster, but it's not really, you're not gonna feel like, oh shit, this is really fast all of a sudden. But just slightly faster, right? So then you go through the exact same thing again. You start from the first beat to the second. If that works, move on. Same thing again, all the way up until the last note. Now, if that works, you raise it to 70 BPMs. It sounds like this. So it's not a huge difference, but we want to creep up there. But the rule here is that we move on as long as we can get each group perfect, right? So that's the very important thing here. Then you're gonna keep on raising the tempo until you get to whatever the goal tempo is, and that depends on the song or whatever tempo you want to reach. And two things can happen. Either you're gonna reach the goal tempo, which would be great, but most likely you won't. But I wouldn't worry about that. Just get it as fast as you can that day, because it will vary from day to day. I wouldn't even write it down. I don't really care. I don't want to get too attached to that. It's just a way of practicing, right? So the top tempo doesn't really matter. What matters is that you stop when you feel that it's not perfect anymore. Because I think that's the biggest problem that people get into, and myself included, when I started trying that, the old school metronome method. Because I would end up sitting there trying to play it fast at a tempo where I clearly couldn't do it, but I would just try it and try it and try it, and I would end up spending a lot of my practice time practicing bullshit, frankly, right? And that won't build your technique. It's fine to try to go faster, which this technique will help you do as well, but in a more controlled manner. But you shouldn't sit there and just repeat if it doesn't work, right? Then you're just programming bad habits. So what do you do then once you reach that top tempo, or whatever the top tempo for the day is? Then you just go back to 60 again. So I'm going to do that. But now we're going to do 2 groups instead, right? So it's going to basically doubling up here. So we're going to go right, so now I played beat 1, 2, so 1, 2, and ended on 3, right? So if that works, it probably will because you're at 60 BPMs, then you start from beat 2, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong as well when I've explained it. So it's very important that if you have the beats here, like let's say we have beat 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first we did one group to the next, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we always start on each beat. But now when we do 2 beats, we don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then start on this note. You always want to start on each individual beat, regardless of how many groups you're playing, all right? So basically you're gonna go group 1, 2, end on 3, group 2, 3, end on 4, group 3, 4, end on 5, and so on until you reach the entire thing. So I'm just gonna go 2 groups of 2 here now, right? So we have the first one. That's fine, starting on the second group, going to 2, 3, 4. But at 60 BPMs. Then I'm gonna start on the third group. Going 3, 4, 5. And I'm gonna go from 4, 5, 6. And then you're gonna go from 5, 6, 7. And then 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. Right? And then you raise that to 65, do everything again, 70, 75, 80, and so on until you can't go any faster. And then you simply, you know, let the ego go. Don't try to push it further than you can do it. Give yourself a few shots, of course, but if you find that like, I really can't get it, don't push it, right? Don't push it more than that. Then you go back and, you know, this groups of 2 or 2 groups at a time, you might even be able to play that faster than the first one, even though the first one has less notes. But that's not necessarily due to anything magical about playing more notes. It's just that you're probably more warmed up to the idea at that point. So again, don't worry about the tempo. Just go as far as you can until you feel that it starts to break down. That could be tension as well. So actually, that's another very important thing. If you feel any tension, just give yourself a longer pause in between. There's no rule that you have to, you know, keep this into a certain amount, you know, flow or anything like that. You can go, and if that feels good, go to the next one. But if this feels like, oh, actually, I need to do that again, and start to feel some tension creep in, then just do it again and have a longer pause. So don't push it in any way. So once you feel like, okay, I can't really go faster than this today, fine. Then you go back and you guessed it, you're gonna do groups of 3 now. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, stop on 4. And then again, you start on each group individually. So you're gonna start on group 2. So 1, 2. So you're gonna go 1, there's a 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're gonna start on group 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you continue on like that throughout the whole thing. And then you go to 65, do it again, 70, and so on until you reach the top, just like before. And then you go back and do groups of 4. Then you continue on like that until you either run out of time, so you need to do something else, or you basically have groups of 8, which would mean that you have, that's your one group, and that's the whole thing. And then you would see how fast you can get that. If you do this daily with any one thing, you will feel quite a big difference fairly quickly. But the key here is that you go back in tempo and you do not sit there and like just push through any type of inaccuracies. Like I said, it's fine if you make a mistake here and there, but you shouldn't repeat the mistakes over and over again. Because any repetition you do, that's going to creep into your brain, and at the end of the day, it's the brain that plays the instrument, sends the signals to our hands. So you need to be really careful there when you, whatever practice technique you use, that you don't sit there and repeat mistakes unconsciously. So this is not the only way that I practice. I would say that, you know, most of my practice is still doing slow work with a, you know, perfect accuracy and doing all that stuff. But I find this approach is really helpful when I want to learn something specific. So this is not something that I would sit there and apply on exercises per se, because I think an exercise should give you the benefits without you sitting there pushing the tempo. The exercise should be there to help you ingrain a certain technique, and I still believe that that's going to be best accomplished doing it slowly, as long as you do it with the correct motions. And if you're not sure what the correct motions are for your technique, I highly suggest that you check out the video that I'm going to link at the end of this one. It's just a way that you can use to find what's the most natural picking motion is for you, and then you can reverse engineer that. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 notes per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start.